I think many of us are wondering what's going to happen with President Donald Trump and this lawfare that's going on in New York. But also, when he gets back into office, we want some justice. To help me understand that, I have lawyer Mike Davis with me. Mike, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So just some quick background for my audience. You are a lawyer, founder of the Article 3 Project. You helped President Trump confirm 3 Supreme Court justices. Your group has been called the brass knuckles approach to convicting people in Washington, D.C. When President Trump gets back in office, who is on your list that needs to be researched, investigated, prosecuted, and brought to justice?
Well, President Biden, his Attorney General Merrick Garland, Jack Smith, Jay Bratt, Alvin Bragg, Matthew Colangelo, Tish James, Fani Willis, Nathan Wade, Judge Juan Merchan, Lauren Merchan, his daughter, who's raising millions off this case. There are so many Democrats, prosecutors, judges, witnesses, and operatives who are clearly running a criminal conspiracy to violate the civil rights of President Trump, his top aides like Peter Navarro, who's sitting in prison right now, Steve Bannon, who's going to prison for asserting constitutional executive privilege that presidents have had going back 250 years to George Washington, Trump's attorneys like Jeff Clark and John Eastman, his supporters on January 6th. This is an obvious criminal conspiracy driven by President Biden himself through Deputy White House Counsel Jonathan Sue, working with Gary Stern at the National Archives, the General Counsel of the National Archives, and Jay Bratt at the Justice Department to concoct the Mar-a-Lago hoax raid to go get presidential records President Trump was allowed to have under the Presidential Records Act. You had Matthew Colangelo deployed from the number 3 office in the Biden Justice Department, a former senior political appointee to Obama, to Biden, a DNC consultant. Colangelo helped run the lawfare for the New York Attorney General for 4 years of Trump's presidency. You have Nathan Wade, this Fani Willis's boyfriend / special prosecutor who billed his time, 16 hours of his time, $250 an hour to the Fulton County taxpayers to meet with the Biden White House, including the Biden White House counsel, before Fani Willis brought her unprecedented January 6th indictment against President Trump. This is lawfare. This is election interference. This is a criminal conspiracy to violate the rights of Trump, constitutional rights of Trump, his top aides, his lawyers, his supporters. It's in violation of 18 U.S.C. 241 and 242, which are very serious federal civil rights felonies, up to 10 years in prison. Senator J.D. Vance from Ohio just sent a criminal referral on this today. The Article 3 Project, the group I've run for the last 5 years, has been beating the table on this criminal conspiracy for many months. So we're very pleased that J.D. Vance has sent this criminal referral. We're also very pleased that Congresswoman Elise Stefanik just sent a judicial misconduct complaint to the New York court system for this Judge Juan Merchan, again, who made an illegal campaign contribution to President Biden that got him reprimanded from the New York court system, whose daughter is raising millions off of this unprecedented trial. He seems to be the Forrest Gump of this lawfare against President Trump and his supporters in New York. Judge Merchan got assigned randomly, supposedly, to the New York criminal prosecution of the Trump Organization, where Judge Merchan sent Trump's 75-year-old CFO to Rikers Island for 5 months and wanted to send him longer if he could, he said. Judge Merchan randomly got assigned to this Trump case now, and Judge Merchan randomly got assigned to Steve Bannon's case. That's about a 1 in 15,000 chance that Judge Merchan randomly got assigned to all 3 of these cases, and it's not random. This is rigged. Elise Stefanik filed a judicial misconduct complaint, and if the New York court system buries this, then I think that the House Judiciary Committee, led by Jim Jordan, and the Weaponization Subcommittee, led by Jim Jordan, must issue subpoenas for witnesses and documents for staff depositions and public hearings to understand how Judge Juan Merchan has become the Forrest Gump of New York lawfare against Trump.
Yeah. The country needs somebody like you that has the gumption, the understanding of the law, the courage to actually go after this. How do we make sure someone like you or you yourself get in there and not just some Elmer Fudd, Bill Barr type that doesn't have the courage to actually stand up, use the Constitution and the legal system, as the not, I don't want to say weapon because I don't want it to sound like weaponization, but when there are actual crimes, they need to be prosecuted. So how do the American people ensure that somebody like you or yourself get in there that has the courage to do this?
Well, I can't get confirmed to anything. I was the chief counsel for nominations on the Senate Judiciary Committee, so I have a pretty good understanding of who gets confirmed and who doesn't. I also helped with political appointments in the White House and in the Justice Department for judges and every other political appointee in the executive branch. I'm probably not going to get confirmed unless the Republicans win all 100 Senate seats, and then maybe I might have a chance. Who knows? But I would say that President Trump needs to build on the successes of his first term, particularly the successes of his transformation of the 5-4 left of center court to the 5-4 Clarence Thomas court, the first constitutionalist majority in 90 years. He needs people like Jeff Clark as his White House counsel. He needs people like Mark Paoletta as his attorney general. He needs people like Joe Giuditta. I can't even pronounce his name. I apologize, Joe. And I went to an Italian Catholic school, and I still can't pronounce it. Joe as Trump's deputy attorney general, people like that, people who have the backgrounds and backbones and don't cow to the left and don't fear the left and understand that their job is to follow the Constitution, follow the law, and not operate in fear like the Democrats always have Republicans operating in fear. I'm tired of weak, coward Republicans, whether they're in Congress or in the executive branch or in the judiciary. We need bold, fearless leaders who understand that Biden has run republic-ending lawfare and election interference against Trump, and there must be severe legal, political, and financial consequences come January 20th, 2025, starting with several criminal probes in the Justice Department.
Okay, thank you for that. I know from my own community, just in the comments, I see that they would like a proper investigation of Dr. Fauci, Liz Cheney and the J6 committee, Nancy Pelosi's insider trading racket, the 51 intelligence officers who lied to the American people to get the Hunter Biden laptop buried and also subsequently get President Biden elected. And now they're using those backgrounds, those security clearances to have $1 million jobs after serving the country. President Trump mentioned in an interview this week that he is open to investigating and prosecuting Dr. Fauci. Is that something that you think could actually be done?
It should be done because Dr. Fauci illegally funded gain-of-function research in the Wuhan lab. He lied about it. He covered it up. And that caused trillions of dollars of damage, tens of millions of lives lost, our economy destroyed, our way of life destroyed. They lied about the science. They lied about the 6-foot rule. They lied about the masks. They knew the vaccines were not as effective as they claimed. There were so many lies. Tony Fauci is a mad scientist. He's a little midget criminal. I had to work with Tony Fauci in one of my first jobs in Washington back in 2001 and 2002. I worked at HHS for then Secretary Tommy Thompson. It was my job to put the people on these advisory boards that oversaw Tony Fauci and every other grant-making institution in HHS. And I remember Tony Fauci and many of these other mad scientists complained that they actually had accountability and political oversight. Well, now we know why we needed that so desperately, because if we had independent people on these scientific advisory boards instead of Tony Fauci's buddies and cronies and people who Tony Fauci had sent billions of dollars in our taxpayer money in the form of these grants, we wouldn't have had the guarding the hen house. We would have had independent scientists and public appointees who were seeing what Tony Fauci was doing with this illegal gain of function research that caused a pandemic that destroyed our world for many years. And Tony Fauci absolutely should pay severe legal, political, and financial consequences for this.
Okay. What are your thoughts on what's going on with Judge Eileen Cannon and Jack Smith down in Florida? From my perspective, this looks like Biden, the Biden White House counsel, the FBI, the DOJ, and NARA all came up with this Trojan horse idea of sending pallets and pallets of documents to Mar-a-Lago, then making demands that they keep it safe, lock it up. Then they go in and find the evidence that they want and start this whole fiasco of making Donald Trump look like he's broken the Espionage Act. I mean, this is like so insulting to our former president. What are your thoughts on this whole situation?
The reason that Joe Biden and Merrick Garland and Jack Smith and Jay Brett and all these other Democrat prosecutors are going after President Trump with this unprecedented Republican-ending lawfare and election interference on many fronts is because Trump declassified via presidential memo the day before he left office, January 19th, 2021, the Crossfire Hurricane presidential records that he had. And those are so damning to Obama, Biden, Hillary, the AG at the time, Comey, Clapper, Brennan, the FBI, the CIA, the deep state, because they made up the Russian collusion hoax, the Crossfire Hurricane investigation against President Trump. Then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton had her illegal home server with our nation's most classified secrets. More problematically, it showed the Clinton Foundation's illegal pay-for-play foreign corruption schemes when she was the Secretary of State. And that server got hacked, and almost certainly got hacked by the Russians and the Chinese. And Hillary Clinton feared that this material from her hacked server showing her foreign corruption, her pay-for-play foreign corruption, would come out before the 2016 election and derail her presidential chances. And so what happened? You had Obama, Biden, Hillary, the AG, Comey, so many others made up the Russian collusion hoax. They used the Logan Act that Biden thought of as vice president to open an investigation on Trump as a presidential candidate. They called it Crossfire Hurricane. They lied to the FISA court. They hid evidence. They made up evidence with the Steele dossier. They got illegal spy warrants on a presidential candidate. They continued to spy on Trump as the president of the United States illegally, unconstitutionally, corruptly. And this continued. And you say, that sounds crazy. Why would they do that? They wanted to do that so if this material came out from the Russians, Hillary Clinton can say, oh, no, you can't believe that. That is a dirty trick from the Trump campaign. He's colluding with the Russians. Disregard that. You'll say, that sounds crazy, Mike. How can you possibly think that? Well, guess what? They ran the same play in 2020 with Hunter Biden's laptop of the Biden family corruption. They had the 51 former intel officials working with the CIA to censor the New York Post, America's oldest newspaper, to take them off social media, to take the link to the news story off the internet, and to censor any mention of this, that they said it was all the hallmarks of a Russian disinformation campaign in 2020. And so Trump declassified this on January 19th, 2021. The FBI, the intel agencies, ran to Mark Meadows, the chief of staff to Trump, and Mark Meadows, and they said, oh, you can't do this. You're going to put sources and methods in danger. Privacy Act, this is a criminal violation if you do this. And so Mark Meadows issued a directive on January 20th, 2021, the day of Trump leaving office, saying, do your Privacy Act review and then get out these documents. Guess what? They didn't get out these documents. Trump sued Hillary Clinton in Florida, the Southern District of Florida, in federal court for Crossfire Hurricane. Magistrate Judge Bruce Reinhart got assigned to the case. They found out that Bruce Reinhart bashed Trump on Facebook back in 2017, requiring Bruce Reinhart's recusal from the case from Trump versus Hillary, civil lawsuit for Crossfire Hurricane, where Trump was probably going to disclose those Crossfire Hurricane declassified presidential records. Guess what? He didn't have a chance to do that because 6 weeks later, Biden ordered this unprecedented, unnecessary, and unlawful political hit on Trump to go get back those Crossfire Hurricane presidential records Trump was allowed to have in the office of former president under the Presidential Records Act. And they did this under the guise of the Espionage Act, that Trump had these stolen classified records that he, put our national security in danger. That's not true. Trump had his presidential records, and guess who had stolen classified records? Joe Biden. He had 5 stashes, moved several times, unguarded for years, accessible by his Chinese agent for his foreign corruption schemes from his time as vice president, even his time as senator, meaning he had to have smuggled them out of the Senate skiff. He admitted to Rob Hur, the special counsel, that Biden shared these classified records, knowingly shared these stolen classified records with his ghostwriter for a book that Biden got an $8 million advance on, and nothing happened to Biden. Merrick Garland colluded with President Biden to cover this up, while Garland sent in an unprecedented armed raid with shoot-to-kill orders to go get back these Crossfire Hurricane presidential records from Trump.
Wow. Okay. I know you've got to run. You've got big stuff going on in New York. I'm excited to have you back on. We can go deeper into this. Hopefully everything comes out the way that we want there in New York. If not, it looks like it will be going to appeals court. But I wanted the American people to know who you are. This is the quality of person that Trump is dealing with, that is going to be consulted with when he gets back into office. Mike Davis, I'm going to put a link to Article 3 Project down below, as well as your Twitter. I want to thank you for coming on. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much.